Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport and get the help you need to finance your own EV or clean energy future. And by Energy Sage. Visit the link in the description to find local, verified solar experts, community projects, and heat pump specialists in your area. And by you. Support the channel today and help us remain 100% independent. Welcome back to another episode of TEN, Transport Evolved News. Thanks for joining me. I would love nothing more than to start today's show with something other than the just announced US tariffs on everything. But I fear it is so impactful to the world of cleaner, greener, safer, smarter and more equitable transportation and energy that we really have no other choice. Sorry. So let's be as quick as we can be, eh? Midweek, US President Donald Trump announced blanket baseline tariffs of 10% on all goods entering the US, with far higher tariffs on certain countries. This has resulted in even uninhabited islands suddenly getting tariffs slapped on them, and island nations with tiny populations seeing tariffs nearly triple the baseline. Why? Who knows, but there is evidence to suggest that the list was generated by a large language model, aka AI, and several academics have already duplicated the exact tariff list announced by feeding in data to various AI systems. The auto industry, including the EV sector, is reeling, and auto industry insiders are now warning that these tariffs could decimate the stability of the global automotive market if they last for more than a few weeks. Earlier this week, the president stated he really didn't care if tariffs pushed car prices up, and while parts of vehicles made in the US are currently tariff-free, if they are compliant with USMCA, that will unfortunately change in the near future. If you are outside of the US, I'm sorry. And if you are in the US, know that everything is going to get a whole lot more expensive, including EVs, e-bikes, and the food you eat. Polestar has already removed the Polestar 2 from sale in the US, a vehicle made in China, and I think things are going to just get worse. Leopards are very much about to start eating lots of faces. Before we get to the good timeline stories, we need to stick around in MAGA world a little more with a story that broke last week just after we had filmed last week's episode. On Friday, Utah businessman, founder and former CEO of Nikola Motors, Trevor Milton, who had been convicted of defrauding investors of hundreds of millions of dollars by making false statements to investors about Nikola's product portfolio, received a full pardon from the White House. Milton's conviction came after an independent analyst discovered that Nikola had staged a video purportedly showing a Nikola One semi driving down the road under its own power when it was actually just rolling down the hill under gravity. Milton's serial fraud against investors led to a 4-year custodial sentence, which he hadn't begun to serve thanks to a lengthy appeals process and a large bond payment. But while he was out on bond, Milton donated approximately $1.8 million to the Trump 2024 election campaign. And when asked why he had pardoned Milton by a reporter on Friday, President Trump suggested it had been, quote, highly recommended by many people, end quote, and seemed to imply that Milton was prosecuted because of his support for the president. So, what the heck? Life hack, if you get in trouble with the authorities, just tell them you support the president. To happier news now, and the news that BYD sold more than 1 million new energy vehicles during the first quarter of 2025. For full context, we need to remember that the term new energy vehicle includes plug-in hybrid, battery electric and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles and doesn't differentiate between private and commercial vehicles. But in BYD's case, figures were broken down, allowing us to drill, showing that of the 986,098 passenger cars sold, 42.2% were fully electric, which equates to 416,388 cars. This means BYD sold more EVs during Q1 than Tesla, which just reported sales during the same period of 336,681 cars, down 13% year over year. Volvo confirmed this week that its board of directors has decided to replace the brand's CEO, Jim Rowan, with former CEO Håkan Samuelsson with immediate effect. Rowan, who replaced Samuelsson in 2022, oversaw quite a large period of change at Volvo and helped usher in its EX30 and EX90 models. Yet Volvo's board seems happier with Samuelsson back at the helm and says he will retain his resumed position for the next 2 years while a long-term successor is found. According to insider rumours, the switchover was initiated by Volvo's majority shareholder, Chinese automotive giant Geely, which had become increasingly frustrated with Rowan's decisions. Interestingly, it's also worth noting that while Samuelsson hasn't been CEO at Volvo for the last 3 years, he has held a position on the board of directors during that time. Aptera, the California-based solar electric vehicle company, published details of its first long-distance road trip last week, along with some truly impressive efficiency figures. As the company notes in its latest video updates, it took Hermes, one of its track validation production intent vehicles, on a 300-mile trek across Arizona from Flagstaff to Lake Havasu, with company co-founder and co-CEO Steve Fambro at the wheel. While this particular production intent vehicle is heavier than the planned production models, the vehicle managed 122 watt-hours per mile, which is equivalent to 8.3 miles per kilowatt-hour or 7.58 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometres. It's a little less efficient than the planned 10 miles per kilowatt-hour or 100 watt-hours per mile, but it's by far the most efficient EV we've seen promised for production yet. Fingers crossed, it will reach production. As regulars will know, both Hyundai and its sibling brands Genesis and Kia have enjoyed a good few years when it comes to EV sales, and each offers a variety of different battery electric models for customers to choose from. Earlier this year, Kia and Hyundai both gave their respective eGMP-based crossovers, the Kia EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5, a bit of a facelift, and this week at the Seoul Mobility Show, Hyundai revealed a facelifted Ioniq 6. Right now, we don't have any video, only photos, but the models feature a more aggressive, yet also aerodynamic front end with narrow LED headlights finishing off their sculptured hood. Inside, there's a new redesigned steering wheel and centre console, along with large climate control display. It's nothing revolutionary, and you won't be able to get the rear view cameras instead of mirrors in some markets, but I honestly love that Hyundai is happily making an honest-to-goodness, aerodynamic, energy-efficient sedan in a world filled to the brim with massive, oversized SUVs. Troubled Swedish battery startup Northvolt was in the headlines several times this week, and sadly for all of the wrong reasons. On Tuesday, the company's bankruptcy trustees in Sweden finalised a plan to allow the firm to continue operating in some capacity, but at the expense of nearly 3,000 jobs at the firm. Meanwhile, its US subsidiary filed an emergency motion in Texas to end its Chapter 11 restructuring as quickly as possible, given the bankruptcy of its parent company in Sweden. The US arm is trying to avoid a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, as doing so would incur additional legal fees and added complexity. But it does mean that Northvolt's future in the US and Canada is now looking extremely grim. But there is at least hope, for now at least, that the original Swedish firm can rise from the ashes. There's no news on what will happen to Northvolt's German production facility. In order to transition the world's energy consumption away from fossil fuels and towards renewable sources of energy, we have to change how our homes are heated and cooled. And this week, Dandelion Energy, alongside US building firm Lennar, announced the official deployment of one of the largest housing developments to be built in the US that uses geothermal heat pumps as standard to both heat and cool the homes. Unlike air-sourced heat pump systems, which transfer heat energy in and out of homes using large radiators and air compressors, geothermal systems transfer heat in and out of the ground by using embedded coils placed into the soil. This eliminates the need for large and often noisy outside air compressors. They're also more energy efficient and require less maintenance than air-sourced heat pumps, further reducing customers' energy bills. Here's hoping to more ground-sourced heat pump adoption in the near future. Renault and Nissan have worked together on electric vehicle technologies for more than 15 years, thanks to the two firms' joint shareholding in each other. But a new agreement signed this week by the two firms will see Nissan's obligation to invest in Renault's Ampere EV division released, leaving Nissan free to pursue its own EV plans moving forwards. Renault and Nissan signed an agreement in July 2023 to establish their respective planned investments into Ampere, with Nissan due to invest €600 million in the endeavour. In exchange, it was going to get to use Ampere-derived vehicle platforms for future Nissan EVs. It's not clear what this means long-term now that that's changed, but it's worth noting that Nissan still plans on paying Renault to make its just-announced Nissan Micra EV, along with a Twingo-sized EV for city travel. So watch this space. And finally for the segment, hot on the heels of more successful test flights and confirmation of a production location for its first electric eVTOL aircraft, eHang has announced the receipt of its official air operator certificates in China. Like any aircraft manufacturer, eHang has put its EH216S eVTOL craft through an exhaustive certification process, covering everything from safety procedures through to maintenance requirements and air stability. And this week it confirmed that its first batch of air operator certificates, allowing it to begin civil operations with paying customers, has been granted to it by the Civil Aviation Administration of China. It's still early days for the company, which has to achieve volume production in order to expand its eVTOL service across China, but it's a milestone that many firms fail to reach. eHang hopes its customers will now be able to apply for their own operational certificates to operate the craft for everything from sightseeing to short commuter taxi services in the not-too-distant future. Our news shorts are coming in a moment, but first a quick word from long-time sponsor of the channel, Energy Sage. Energy Sage helps homeowners connect with local, verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help you navigate the process of installing solar panels, help you join a community solar program, or in fact get a heat pump installed. We used Energy Sage when we were looking for installers willing to help us put solar panels on the roof of our home, and our Energy Sage verified installers were professional, knowledgeable, and even put us in touch with an amazing credit union that allowed us to finance our solar panels for as low a monthly payment as possible. Follow the links below to sign up for either of Energy Sage's free, no-obligation services and get the ball rolling today. If you choose to use an Energy Sage installer for your project, we will also get a small referral fee, so you'll be helping us out too. Help the grid get greener, save money, and support the channel? It's a win-win-win. And now it's time for our news shorts. Tesla has issued a recall for just under 100 Model S and Model X, which have an incorrect horn pad that prevents the horn from being operated. Owners will be notified if their vehicles are affected by the recall. Mack Trucks has announced a recall of 7 Mack LRBE electric trucks to address a problem inside vehicles' battery packs that could result in a short circuit. The company says the battery packs on affected vehicles will be replaced free of charge. At this week's Seoul Mobility Show, LG Electronics and Kia unveiled 2 Kia PBV concepts kitted out with LG Tech. One focuses on a home on the road for business entrepreneurs, while the second focuses on offering road trip car picnic spaces. BYD's luxury, performance-oriented brand, Yangwang, has begun sales of its latest model, the U7 Saloon. It features a quad-motor drive system capable of producing 960 kilowatts and is available as an EV or a plug-in hybrid. Fastned posted its quarterly earnings for the end of 2024 earlier this week, showing that while it has managed to expand its charging locations across Europe, leading to increased revenue, its losses also grew to €26.6 million. If you're a fan of the Hyundai Ioniq 5N and either can't afford one in the real world or prefer to race in the digital domain, you'll be pleased to know that the Ioniq 5N is now featured in Asphalt Legends Unite, and there's a 4-week in-game event featuring the Ioniq 5N running this month. Serbia's Ministry of Economy has offered Rivian's European arm €3.5 million in subsidies designed to help the automaker set up new centres of excellence in Belgrade, as well as expand its European Technology Centre. Because of a change in tax law that will more heavily tax plug-in hybrids, there was a little blip in sales of plug-in hybrids in Norway in March just before the law changed, resulting in a lower EV market share of only 84.1%. Only. US company Coulomb Solutions has announced a new battery product for commercial vehicles. It's calling its Super Long Life, or SLL battery. It features cells made by CATL and comes with a 900,000-mile, 15-year warranty. Non-profit group Jobs to Move America has called on Hyundai to raise safety standards at its facilities after a construction worker's death at its Meta plant in Georgia. It's demanding a meeting with Hyundai's North America CEO to address concerns over child labour and unsafe working conditions. Porsche has begun a new pilot program designed to recycle the high-voltage battery packs used inside its cars. It's the latest in a long line of automakers seeking to refine and recycle battery materials for future EV use. Samsung SDI has announced that it's begun series production of 46 form-factor cylindrical battery cells at one of its facilities in Korea. It says the cells will be supplied to a US customer for use in micromobility applications. After a less-than-stellar fourth quarter and year-end results published last week, NIO says it plans to execute capital raises by issuing around 3.5 billion Hong Kong dollars worth of common stock on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Chinese tech giant and automaker Xiaomi is now under investigation in China after one of its EVs operating in NOA, or navigation on autopilot, crashed, killing 3 occupants. Its system mysteriously deactivated just before the collision. After confirming it would be continuing its grant programs for EV purchases and charging hardware installations, the UK government has also confirmed it will continue its grant program for commercial plug-in trucks and vans. A new partnership between Elante, Electra, Fastnet and Ionity in Europe has led to the creation of Spark Alliance. It promises to be the largest and most reliable public charging network in Europe, focusing on uptime, interoperability and transparent pricing. The EU Commission has formally submitted its proposed amendment for regulating CO2 emissions of passenger cars and light commercial vehicles. It proposes an extension of targets set for this year, giving automakers 2 more years to clean up their act. With April 1st bringing in a new tax on more expensive EVs in the UK, Vauxhall confirmed that it's cut prices across the board to ensure that no EV it sells in the country costs more than £40,000 sterling, thus avoiding the extra tax. Ford confirmed this week that it will be scheduling downtime at its Louisville assembly plant to undergo quote-unquote extensive retooling to enable it to bring a new Ford EV to market, but Ford remains tight-lipped about what that new model will actually be. The iconic New York JFK Airport is about to become the world's first airport to employ a fully electric ground handling fleet. This week, the airport confirmed that Terminal 1 will open next year with an all-electric fleet airside operational service. BYD rival companies Zeekr and Huawei have announced their own megawatt charging technologies, 1.5 and 1.2 megawatts respectively. Huawei's is focused on commercial vehicles, while Zeekr, a Volvo and Polestar sibling, will use its tech for passenger cars. Ford has tweaked its F-150 Lightning lineup again for 2025 with Blue Cruise 1.4 as standard, a new Dark Elements appearance package for the Platinum brand, and a few other tweaks. We just got Blue Cruise 1.4 as an over-the-air update, so keep your eyes peeled for a video on it very soon. Chinese battery manufacturer Hina Battery has unveiled a new sodium-ion battery that it says will charge from empty to 100% full in 20 minutes. It's designed for commercial use and has in excess of 165 watt-hours per kilogram energy density. BP has announced its intent to sell off its mobility and convenience businesses in Austria, which includes all of its retail or shop locations and its EV charging sites. It goes without saying that it will continue to sell fossil fuels to retailers. Skoda has unveiled the latest iteration of its Elroq SUV this week, the Elroq RS. Built on the MEB platform, it features 250 kilowatts at the wheels, all-wheel drive, and a range of 550 kilometers per charge. While it officially debuted its concept car, the Insteroid, on April 1st, Hyundai's self-named dream car mashup between a Hyundai Insta and a computer game, Hot Hatch, debuted at the Seoul Mobility Show this week, but it is only a concept. Given the anti-EV sentiment from the White House and Republican politicians, it turns out in a new survey that the overwhelming majority of self-identified Republicans, many who call themselves MAGA Republicans, are actually pro-EV and pro-supporting government-funded charging infrastructure deployment. So where's the disconnect? As part of its showcase at the Seoul Mobility Show this week, Hyundai unveiled its new Plios software brand, a brand that will be used by the Motor Group and its subsidiaries to develop new in-car tech and software-defined vehicle systems. While Tariffs have caused the Polestar 2 to be removed from sale in the US, in other markets, Polestar has given the vehicle a new, improved battery pack and faster infotainment system for the new model year. Pricing to follow. A Volkswagen-backed QuantumScape is pushing ahead with research on a new battery cell that will eliminate traditional anodes and instead create it in situ, allowing for more energy-dense battery packs and thus longer ranges per charge. It has already shipped B samples to automakers for testing. Xiaomi has announced a new partnership with NAAS Technology in China that will open the NAAS Technology charging network to owners of Xiaomi EVs. More than 100,000 new charging stations will therefore be available to Xiaomi drivers. Cummins' zero-emission arm Accelera has announced it will be unveiling a new battery pack and powertrain designed for Isuzu's F-series medium-duty truck. It will feature a fully integrated battery pack, controls and e-axle. Zeekr Technology Europe has announced a new partnership with Minima, a company that uses embedded blockchain tech to make it possible for Zeekr owners to securely share their home charging stations. The system will handle authentication and payment. While Hyundai has been busy in Seoul this week with a string of new electric vehicle announcements, it also took time to unveil its third-generation Nexo fuel cell hydrogen electric vehicle. While its limited market availability shows that Hyundai hasn't completely given up on hydrogen fuel cells yet, EVs are clearly winning. Meanwhile, economists in Europe are calling on European member states to drop their support for hydrogen fuel cell big rigs and instead go fully electric. Issuing a statement through the Franco-German Council of Economic Experts, the group says battery electric is the most mature and market-ready choice today. Panasonic Energy, working alongside Sumitomo Metal Mining, will establish a new recycling program in Japan focusing on reusing nickel from lithium-ion batteries in a closed-loop recycling process that could eventually expand to other battery materials. Stellantis has announced it will close its Luton van production facility, a facility that was scheduled to begin electric van production in the near future. At the same time, it announced a furlough of 3,000 workers at its Windsor production facility in Ontario, Canada, where the Pacifica plug-in hybrid is made. However, in the case of Windsor, Stellantis has confirmed plans for a new EV battery production facility. Charging network Ionity has introduced a new pay-as-you-go charging tariff in the UK it's calling Ionity Go. It allows ad hoc access to its network with electricity priced at 71 pence per kilowatt hour, which isn't exactly cheap. Norfolk sports car legend Lotus has announced a refresh to its Electra and Emia lineup and new model year. It includes a complete rebranding of its different trim levels that harkens back to its roots. Honestly, they look beautiful, but I hadn't taken them up the city to Cara Road. That'd be a little bit posh for that would be. And finally for the segment, it was April 1st this week, and in true spirit of the day, Hyundai unveiled the Mobilette, a portable washroom on wheels that I should happily note appeared to be 100% gender neutral. Unfortunately, it was a joke. And those are your news shorts. There will be more next week. Our final two stories are next, but first a word from one of our most important sponsors, you. Transport Evolved is, believe it or not, celebrating its 15th year this year, and we're working hard to remain 100% independent. But that's only been possible thanks to the kind donations of folks like you. We've never charged for our content and hope never to do so, but that means we operate on a business model that relies on the kind support of the people who like what we do. To say that we run with a wafer-thin margin of operation would be a complete understatement, so if you are willing and able, we'd love to have your support through Patreon, YouTube, Bitcoin or Ko-fi. You can even send us old-fashioned checks. Unfortunately, YouTube is continuing to screw with revenue streams for content creators and independent journalists and has continually dropped how much it pays creators for in-stream ads, while simultaneously telling us it will insert more to keep our income the same. Nevertheless, if we turn those ads off, the algorithm isn't happy and punishes us, so we are leaning into encouraging our audience to support us through alternate means, and if you fancy it, watching our content on PeerTube instead. But if you would like to support us financially, do head to patreon.com where you can sign up to support the show. I would really love to increase our monthly support by at least 5% from its current level so I can, in turn, pay the team here what they deserve and help mitigate this bonkers tariff situation we all find ourselves in. So if you are able, please consider helping out. Thanks. And now it's time for those last two stories. Developing a vehicle with self-driving technology that can handle 95% of all of the situations on the road is pretty easy, at least that's what we're told. But dealing with that last 5%, is exponentially harder, and few companies have managed to achieve the level of autonomous vehicle operation that Waymo's robotaxi fleet has. And in recent months, we've shared how the company has expanded its service into other areas and how it's not only taking paying customers, but starting to make serious bank from its service. But, well, just like human drivers, robotaxis aren't always perfect on the road, and this week we learned that in San Francisco last year, Waymo's fleet of robotaxis racked up $65,000 in traffic violations. Most of them, 589, were parking tickets, but 124 of them were for obstructing traffic. Among the list of things that were done that shouldn't have been done included obstructing traffic, ignoring street cleaning restrictions, and parking where the vehicles weren't supposed to. So the next time you get a ticket, just remember, you are as good as a robot. And finally, I don't know about you, but I have a box of mains adapters in my server closet that attest to how, for many years before the advent of USB-C, pretty much every gadget or doodad you purchased came with its own special proprietary charger. Thanks to changes in EU law over mobile phones and tablets, that's far better than it once was. But when it comes to things like e-bikes and other micromobility choices, the chances are you still have a weird proprietary connector that you have to use to juice up with, which is where electric bicycle company Ampere comes in. It's just unveiled the world's first e-bike that you charge using a USB-C cable. Now, I know what you are thinking. How can USB-C charge an e-bike battery? But actually, USB-C is quite the capable standard, and in the right configuration can deliver up to 240 watts of power. That might not seem like much, especially when we talk about hundreds of kilowatts for electric cars. But when you consider that many e-bike battery packs are just a kilowatt hour or so, it makes sense to use something like USB-C, so you then don't have to carry a massive brick around with you. I personally think this is a great idea, and here's to a future of USB-C charging for e-bikes. And on that note, we are done with today's show. As always, a huge thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. They've been advocating for electric vehicles since 1967 and firmly believe that our future depends on us making the switch to clean, green electric cars today. The EVA can help you find someone near to you who can help you make that switch to electric. It can help you become an EV educator, and it can point you in the direction of monthly meetups for like-minded EV fans. And if you become a member, you'll gain access to a clean energy and EV loan program set up between the EVA and the Colorado Clean Energy Credit Union. You can find out more by heading to myeva.org. And thanks to Energy Sage. Follow the link below to find out how easy it can be to get verified, trustworthy solar experts helping you make the step towards energy self-sufficiency through solar on the roof of your home, by joining a community solar project, or by getting a heat pump installed. And if you are someone who made your own transportation or energy greener this week, good job. Well done. If you'd like to support the channel directly, don't forget, as I noted earlier, you can support us from $1.50 a month on Patreon, and you can find the link below. Don't forget too that if you are in the greater Portland area and you need a video production team for your business, whatever it is, we are now available for non-EV production work, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Don't forget too that we have swag you can buy over at our swag store. There are 2 new designs this week, and one-off donations are possible to the channel using Ko-fi, Bitcoin, or old-fashioned checks. We now also have a new Amazon affiliate program code you can use if you have to shop on Amazon. We don't like Amazon, but since Amazon allocates a percentage of its funds either to affiliates or its own bank account, we'd rather that you helped us out than help out Jeff Bezos, because he's got enough money already. You can find other content from us on our main channel and on Transport Evolved Take 2. We publish on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays on this channel, and on a Sunday you'll find us over on Transport Evolved Take 2. To finish, remember that you are valid and you are loved and you have a place in this world, even if you are among the increasingly large number of people being targeted by a government for simply existing, having the wrong type of job, or speaking out. Know that it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to be angry, scared, and just want to curl up. I felt like that today. But know that existence is resistance, and it makes it harder for hate to exist. So be inspirational, be yourself, and do good. Don't let hatred win. Speak up, be bold, and make good trouble. Peacefully protest, and make sure you attend your local community town halls and become an active voice if you want to change the way things are going, as some of you have reached out and told me you are. And if you are going to be involved in protests this weekend, please make sure you stay lawful, be smart, and keep your wits about you. After all, this, whatever it is a marathon, not a sprint. So until next time, stay safe regardless of your identity or who you love. Be an amazing ally to others, be kind, and be that positive change you want to see in the world. And please, for the sake of everyone's future, don't let hate or ignorance win. As always, keep evolving.